Leadership isn't about power, it's about influence. It's not about standing above others, it's about standing with them. The difference between a leader who commands and a leader who inspires lies in how they handle pressure, how they earn trust, and how they hold themselves accountable. True authority isn't granted by a title. It's built through consistency, integrity, and respect. Today, we're not talking about temporary leadership or surface-level influence. We're talking about the kind of leadership that shapes cultures, transforms teams, and leaves a legacy. If you've ever wondered what separates leaders who demand obedience from those who inspire loyalty, this is where you'll find the answer. Leadership isn't about having a title or sitting at the top of an organizational chart. It's about the character you demonstrate every single day. The first step to becoming a powerful and respected leader is to lead with integrity and moral character. This isn't something that happens overnight. It's built through consistent actions, difficult decisions, and the courage to do what's right, even when no one is watching. Integrity means that your values and your behavior are aligned. It's not enough to talk about honesty and accountability, you have to embody it. People don't follow words, they follow examples. When you lead with integrity, people trust you not because of what you say, but because of how you carry yourself. Think about it. How many leaders have you seen fall from grace because their actions didn't match their words? It happens all the time. Someone preaches about honesty, but cuts corners behind closed doors. Someone talks about loyalty, but is quick to throw others under the bus when things go wrong. That's not leadership. That's weakness dressed up as authority. True leadership comes from the strength of your character. People respect leaders who stand firm in their principles, even when it's hard. When you make a promise, you keep it. When you make a mistake, you own it. That's what separates real leaders from those who are just trying to protect their image. There will be moments when doing the right thing costs you. Maybe it's speaking up about something unethical in your company. Maybe it's making a decision that's unpopular with your team but necessary for long-term success. In those moments, integrity demands that you stand your ground. It's easy to compromise when you're under pressure, to take the easy way out, to say what people want to hear instead of what they need to hear. But integrity isn't about taking the easy road. It's about staying true to your values, even when it's uncomfortable. The people who follow you are watching. They're paying attention to how you respond in those difficult moments. If they see you choosing integrity over convenience, you earn their respect on a deeper level. Consistency is key here. You can't be honest one day and deceptive the next and expect people to trust you. Integrity is built through repetition, by showing up every day with the same principles and holding yourself to the same standard. If you want to lead with integrity, start with the small things. Keep your promises, even when it's inconvenient. Speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Treat people with respect, even when they don't deserve it. When you lead with integrity in the small moments, you strengthen your ability to lead with integrity when the stakes are higher. One of the hardest parts about leading with integrity is knowing that not everyone will understand or appreciate it. There will be people who want you to cut corners, to make compromises for the sake of quick wins. But a leader with integrity doesn't bend to pressure. They don't chase popularity or approval, they chase what's right. And here's the thing, even if people disagree with your decisions, they will respect you for being consistent and true to your principles. A leader who stands by their values, even when it's unpopular, commands a different kind of respect. The kind that can't be bought or manipulated. A lot of people think leadership is about power, about being the one calling the shots. But real leadership is about responsibility. It's about setting the tone for the people around you. If you lead with integrity, you give others permission to do the same. When your team sees you being honest about mistakes, They feel safe to own up to theirs. When they see you making decisions based on values instead of convenience, they feel empowered to do the same. Integrity creates a ripple effect. It strengthens the culture of the people you lead, because when they see that you're willing to stand firm in your values, it encourages them to do the same. Leading with integrity also means holding others accountable to the same standard. It's not enough to be personally honest. You have to expect the same from your team. If you allow dishonesty or cutting corners to go unchecked, it undermines everything you've built. A leader with integrity sets clear expectations and enforces them consistently. That doesn't mean being harsh or unreasonable, it means being fair. It means creating an environment where honesty, respect, and accountability are non-negotiable. When people know that the standard applies to everyone, including you, they trust the system, and trust is the foundation of effective leadership. Integrity also means recognizing that leadership isn't about you, it's about the people you serve. You can't lead with integrity if you're driven by ego or self-interest. It's not about making decisions to protect your image or secure your position. It's about doing what's right for the team, even if it costs you personally. A leader with integrity isn't afraid to give credit to others, to admit when they're wrong, or to step back and let someone else take the spotlight. When you lead with integrity, you put the mission above your personal gain, and people can feel that. At the end of the day, leading with integrity isn't complicated, it's just hard. It requires the courage to stand by your values, even when it's uncomfortable. It means being consistent in your actions, even when it's inconvenient. It means putting the mission and the people you lead above your own interests. But when you lead with integrity, you earn the kind of respect that lasts. People may not always agree with you, but they will trust you, and that trust is what separates real leaders from everyone else. Confidence is one of the most powerful traits a leader can possess. But real confidence doesn't come from ego or arrogance, it comes from competence. True confidence is rooted in preparation, knowledge, and the ability to handle whatever comes your way. It's not about pretending to have all the answers or projecting a false sense of security. It's about knowing that you've put in the work and you're ready to meet any challenge head-on. The best leaders aren't the ones who act like they know everything. They're the ones who have built a foundation of experience and learning so that they can navigate uncertainty with calm and clarity. When you're truly prepared, you don't need to force confidence. It shows up naturally. You walk into a room differently when you know you've done the work. You speak with authority when you've studied the subject inside and out. That's the difference between real confidence and empty bravado. Anyone can fake confidence for a moment, but when the pressure is on, that facade crumbles. Real confidence holds steady because it's backed by real competence. That's why the foundation of confidence is preparation. If you want to be a confident leader, you have to put in the work behind the scenes. Study your craft relentlessly. Learn the details that others overlook. Anticipate challenges before they arrive. When you've done the work, you don't have to psych yourself up or put on an act. You naturally project strength because you know you're prepared. But competence isn't just about knowing facts or developing skills. It's about experience. You can read all the books in the world about leadership, but until you step into the arena and start making decisions, you won't develop true confidence. Experience is where knowledge turns into wisdom. It's where you learn not just what works, but why it works. And more importantly, you learn how to adjust when things don't go according to plan. The more experience you have, the more confident you become, not because you expect things to go perfectly, but because you know you can handle it when they don't. Confidence isn't about avoiding failure, it's about trusting your ability to recover from it. That's why the most confident leaders are often the ones who have failed the most. They've learned that setbacks aren't the end, they're just part of the process. Another key piece of confidence is emotional control. A confident leader doesn't panic under pressure. When things start to unravel, they don't lose their composure. They steady the ship. That ability to stay calm in the middle of chaos comes from competence. When you've been through challenges before, you recognize that most problems aren't as catastrophic as they seem in the moment. You've seen patterns. You've learned how to separate emotion from decision-making. That's why preparation and experience are so important. They give you the perspective to see challenges clearly without letting fear or doubt take over. A leader who stays calm under pressure becomes a source of stability for everyone around them. People naturally gravitate toward leaders who project calm confidence because it makes them feel safe. When the people you lead see that you're in control, they feel more confident themselves. Confidence is also about communication. A confident leader knows how to speak with clarity and conviction. They don't hedge their words or soften their message to avoid discomfort. They say what needs to be said, even when it's difficult. But confidence in communication doesn't mean being loud or aggressive. It means being direct and honest. When you know what you're talking about and you've prepared for the conversation, you don't have to force your authority. Your words carry weight because people can sense that you believe them. And if you're wrong, a confident leader owns it. They don't try to cover up mistakes or shift blame. They acknowledge it, adjust, and move forward. That's what separates confident leaders from insecure ones. Insecurity makes you defensive. Confidence makes you adaptable. A confident leader also knows the difference between confidence and arrogance. Confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to be proven. Arrogance is loud. It constantly seeks validation. A confident leader doesn't need to remind people that they're in charge. They earn authority through competence and consistency. Arrogance seeks recognition. Confidence seeks results. That's why the most confident leaders aren't always the ones making the most noise. They're the ones whose actions speak for themselves. They walk into a room and people listen, not because they demand it, but because they've earned it. To build this kind of quiet confidence, you have to get comfortable with discomfort. Confidence grows when you lean into the things that scare you. If you only operate within your comfort zone, you'll never develop the kind of competence that creates real confidence. That's why confident leaders are constantly seeking growth. They push themselves into new challenges, even when it's uncomfortable. They know that the only way to build strength is to test it. Every time you face a challenge and come through it, you add another layer to your confidence. It's not about winning every time. It's about learning that even if you lose, you'll be okay. That's the foundation of unshakable confidence. Confidence also comes from knowing your values and standing by them. A leader who is confident in their decisions isn't constantly looking for approval or permission. They trust their judgment because they've built it through experience and reflection. When you're grounded in your principles, you don't need to second-guess yourself every time someone challenges you. You listen to feedback, but you don't let other people's opinions dictate your direction. That kind of inner confidence comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for. A confident leader doesn't need constant reassurance. They draw strength from within. At the heart of it, confidence is about preparation, experience, emotional control, and clarity of purpose. It's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the most prepared. It's not about never failing. It's about trusting yourself to recover when you do. Confidence isn't something you inherit. It's something you build. And when you've built it through consistent effort and experience, it shows up in everything you do. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to seek validation. It's there in the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, and the way you make decisions. That's the kind of confidence that commands respect. That's the kind of confidence that defines a true leader. Respect is not something you can demand, it's something you earn through your actions, your integrity, and the way you treat others. True respect in leadership doesn't come from a title or a position of power, it comes from how you conduct yourself and how you engage with the people around you. People follow leaders they respect, not because they have to, but because they want to. And respect isn't just about admiration, it's about trust. When people respect you, they trust your judgment. They feel confident in your ability to lead them through challenges and uncertainty. That's why earning respect is one of the most critical aspects of leadership. Without respect, leadership is fragile. It might hold for a moment, but it will eventually collapse under pressure. To earn respect, you have to start with consistency. People respect leaders who are steady, who say what they mean and follow through on their commitment. When you're consistent, people know they can rely on you. They don't have to second guess whether you'll show up or whether you'll change direction based on pressure or convenience. Consistency creates trust, and trust creates respect. But consistency isn't just about showing up. It's about aligning your words and actions. When you say you value integrity, people are watching to see if your decisions reflect that value. When you say you care about the team, they're looking at how you treat the people around you. Respect isn't built through big speeches or grand gestures. It's built in the day-to-day moments where you choose to live by your principles. Another key part of earning respect is fairness. People respect leaders who treat everyone with dignity and fairness, regardless of rank or status. If you reward loyalty over performance, people lose respect. Fairness means holding everyone, including yourself, to the same standard. It means recognizing effort and achievement without bias, and it means addressing problems without favoritism. A fair leader creates a sense of balance and security within a team because people know that decisions are made based on merit and principle, not on politics or personal relationships. That's why fairness builds respect. It shows that you value integrity over convenience. But fairness isn't just about policies and decisions. It's about how you handle conflict and criticism. A leader who earns respect doesn't avoid difficult conversations or shy away from feedback. They listen with an open mind and address issues directly. If you dismiss criticism or become defensive, you lose respect. But if you handle feedback with humility and strength, you gain it. People respect leaders who are willing to admit when they're wrong and adjust when necessary. That's why humility is so powerful in leadership. When you show that you're not above learning and growth, you create a culture where others feel safe to do the same. And that creates respect not just for you as a leader, but for the environment you've built. Communication is another key part of earning respect. A respected leader communicates clearly and honestly. They don't sugarcoat difficult truths, but they also don't weaponize them. They speak with conviction, but they also listen with intention. People respect leaders who make them feel heard. When you take the time to understand someone's perspective, even if you don't agree with it, you show respect. And respect breeds respect. That's why the best leaders are often the best listeners. They don't dominate the conversation, they engage in it. They ask questions, they seek understanding, and when they respond, they do so with clarity and purpose. People respect leaders who don't waste words, who speak with precision and sincerity. When you're clear about your vision and consistent in your message, people don't just listen, they follow. Accountability is another pillar of respect. People respect leaders who take responsibility for their decisions and their actions. If you make a mistake, own it. Don't shift blame to the team or circumstances. Acknowledge it, correct it, and move forward. When you hold yourself accountable, you set the tone for the entire team. You create a culture where accountability is expected, not feared. And when accountability is part of the culture, people feel respected because they know that everyone is held to the same standard. They know that effort and integrity matter more than status or connections. A leader who leads by example earns respect, not because they demand it, but because they embody the principles they expect from others. Strength under pressure also earns respect. When things are falling apart, people look to their leader for stability. A leader who panics or becomes erratic under stress loses credibility. But a leader who stays calm and focused, even in the face of setbacks, gains respect. That doesn't mean you have to have all the answers. It means you have to project steadiness and resolve. People respect leaders who face adversity with strength and composure because it gives them confidence that they can handle whatever comes next. And strength under pressure isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about acknowledging the difficulty while showing that you're prepared to face it. That kind of strength earns respect because it shows that you trust yourself, and that inspires others to trust you too. Finally, respect comes from authenticity. People respect leaders who are real, who don't try to put on a mask or create a false image. Authenticity means owning your strengths and your flaws. It means showing up as yourself, not as a polished version of what you think a leader should be. When people see that you're comfortable in your own skin, they trust you more. They respect you because you're not trying to manipulate or control them. You're leading from a place of honesty and self-awareness. Authenticity also creates connection. People follow leaders they feel connected to, and connection comes from seeing someone's real humanity. That's why the most respected leaders aren't perfect. They're real. They're consistent, fair, honest, and accountable. They treat others with dignity and lead with clarity and strength. Respect is not something you can ask for, it's something you have to earn moment by moment through your decisions and your character. People don't respect leaders because of their title. They respect them because of how they show up every day. And when you've earned that respect, it creates a foundation for everything else. People will follow you, trust you, and give their best because they know that you've earned the right to lead. A leader's ability to make clear and effective decisions is one of the most defining traits of strong leadership. Leadership isn't just about having a vision or motivating a team. It's about the ability to make tough calls, even when the path isn't clear. Decision-making under pressure separates true leaders from those who simply hold a title. When stakes are high and the pressure is mounting, people look to their leader for direction. They want to know that someone is in control, that someone has the clarity and strength to make a choice and stand by it. That's why mastering decision-making isn't just about strategy. It's about building the confidence and trust of those you lead. The foundation of strong decision-making is clarity. A leader who is unclear or indecisive creates confusion and hesitation in the team. When people don't know where the ship is headed, they start to question everything, including the leader's ability to steer them through challenges. Clarity comes from knowing your principles and priorities. When you have a strong internal compass, decisions become clearer because you're not constantly questioning whether you're doing the right thing. You have a framework that guides your choices. That's why leaders who take the time to define their values and goals are better equipped to make decisions under pressure. They know what matters most, and they let that guide them, even when the circumstances are difficult. But clarity isn't enough. You also need courage. Decisions are rarely easy. The bigger the stakes, the more uncertainty you'll face. Fear of making the wrong decision can paralyze you. But indecision is worse than a wrong decision. Leaders who hesitate too long, waiting for the perfect answer, lose momentum and weaken trust. People would rather follow a leader who makes a decisive call and adjusts if necessary than one who hesitates and leaves them in limbo. Courage in decision-making comes from accepting that no decision is ever guaranteed to succeed. You can't predict every outcome, and you can't control every variable. but you can control how you approach the decision. A leader with courage accepts the possibility of failure and moves forward anyway, because the cost of inaction is greater than the risk of a wrong decision. Effective decision-making also requires adaptability. Even the best decisions don't always lead to the outcomes you expect. A rigid leader who refuses to adjust when new information arises quickly loses credibility. Strong leaders are willing to adjust course without losing confidence. Adaptability isn't weakness, it's a sign of strength. It shows that you're focused on the goal, not on your ego. If a decision isn't working, a good leader reassesses, takes responsibility, and makes the necessary changes. That's why adaptability builds trust. People see that you're not just attached to being right, you're committed to finding the best path forward. Leaders who cling to bad decisions out of pride or fear of looking weak end up losing more than just the battle. They lose the respect and faith of those they lead. Decision-making also requires emotional control. When emotions cloud judgment, decisions become reactive rather than intentional. A leader who allows anger, frustration, or fear to dictate their decisions creates instability within the team. But a leader who remains calm and centered under pressure inspires confidence. Emotional discipline doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means recognizing them and not allowing them to drive the decision-making process. When a leader stays composed, even in the face of setbacks, the team feels steadier. They trust that the leader is thinking clearly, not reacting emotionally. That steadiness gives people the confidence to stay focused and push forward, even when the path is difficult. Another key aspect of decision-making is listening. The best leaders don't make decisions in isolation. They gather information, seek input, and weigh perspectives. But listening doesn't mean you surrender authority. A strong leader listens not to please people, but to gather insight. You don't have to take every piece of advice, but you have to be willing to hear it. Leaders who surround themselves with yes men or avoid feedback are setting themselves up for blind spots. But leaders who actively listen and engage with their teams make better decisions because they're working with a fuller picture. When people feel heard, they're more likely to buy into the decision, even if it's not the outcome they were hoping for. That's why listening strengthens decision-making. It creates alignment and trust within the team. Once a decision is made, accountability is essential. A leader who makes decisions and then blames others when things go wrong quickly loses credibility. True leaders take ownership of their decisions, both the wins and the losses. When a decision succeeds, a good leader gives credit to the team. When a decision fails, a good leader steps up, owns the responsibility, and finds a solution. Accountability creates respect, because it shows that you're not above the consequences of your own choices. It creates a culture where people feel secure in taking initiative because they know that leadership isn't about assigning blame, it's about finding solutions. Leaders who lack accountability create a culture of fear, where people are hesitant to act because they know they'll be punished if things go wrong. But leaders who take responsibility create a culture of trust and empowerment, where people feel supported in taking calculated risks and pushing for innovation. Strong decision-making is not about perfection, it's about decisiveness, clarity, and accountability. People don't expect their leaders to have all the answers, but they do expect them to make the call and own the outcome. Leadership means stepping into uncertainty with confidence, knowing that you've gathered the best information available, consulted the right people, and acted in alignment with your principles. It's about showing your team that even if the path isn't clear, you have the strength and focus to lead them through it. And when you've earned that trust, people will follow you, not because they have to, but because they believe in you. A true leader isn't just measured by their ability to make decisions or inspire action. They are measured by how well they cultivate and sustain trust and respect among those they lead. Trust and respect are the foundation of effective leadership. Without them, even the most brilliant strategies and the most compelling visions will crumble. People don't follow leaders because of their titles or their authority. They follow because they believe in the person leading them. That belief comes from trust, and trust is built through consistency, integrity, and fairness. When people feel seen, valued, and respected, they commit not just to the work, but to the leader. That's why great leadership isn't about commanding, it's about earning trust through action. Trust begins with transparency. People can't trust what they don't understand. Leaders who keep their teams in the dark or communicate inconsistently create confusion and suspicion. When people are left to fill in the gaps, they often assume the worst. But leaders who are open about their intentions, their reasoning, and even their uncertainties build a stronger bond with their teams. Transparency doesn't mean sharing every detail or over-explaining. It means being honest about what's happening and why. When people feel informed, they feel included, and when they feel included, they are more likely to align with the leader's vision and work harder to achieve it. Consistency is another pillar of trust. A leader who changes direction constantly or behaves unpredictably creates instability. People need to know what to expect from their leader. If you say one thing and do another, or if you make decisions based on impulse rather than principle, you erode trust. Consistency means showing up the same way, day after day, regardless of the circumstances. It means sticking to your principles even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. A consistent leader creates a sense of security within the team because people know they won't be blindsided or left guessing. That security allows people to focus on their work and take risks without fearing sudden backlash or shifting expectations. Integrity is the heart of leadership. Trust and respect grow when people believe their leader is acting in alignment with their values. A leader who compromises their integrity to gain a short-term advantage might win in the moment, but they lose credibility in the long run. People watch their leaders closely. They notice when decisions are made for personal gain or when promises are broken. Integrity means holding yourself to the same standards you expect from others. If you demand accountability from your team, you have to demonstrate it yourself. If you expect honesty and professionalism, you have to embody those qualities first. Integrity isn't about perfection. It's about consistency and alignment between words and action. Leaders with integrity create cultures where honesty and accountability become the norm because people know that the leader isn't asking for anything they wouldn't do themselves. Fairness is another key component of building trust and respect. People want to know that decisions are made based on merit, not personal bias or favoritism. A leader who shows favoritism or applies different standards to different people quickly loses respect. Fairness means setting clear expectations and holding everyone, including yourself, to the same standards. It means recognizing effort and performance objectively, not based on personal relationships or political influence. Fairness also means listening to different perspectives and treating people with respect, even when you disagree with them. A leader who dismisses input or shuts down dissenting voices creates a culture of fear and resentment. But a leader who listens and makes decisions based on principles rather than ego creates a culture where people feel valued and motivated to contribute. Respect is earned through action, not authority. People respect leaders who show respect first. A leader who treats others with dignity, even under pressure, commands more respect than one who relies on fear or intimidation. Respect means listening without interrupting, giving credit where it's due, and addressing conflict with professionalism rather than aggression. It means acknowledging the humanity of the people you lead, not just their work output. People are more willing to work hard for leaders who make them feel seen and valued as individuals. Respect also means recognizing the contributions of others and celebrating their successes. A leader who takes all the credit for the team's wins and shifts blame for failures will quickly lose respect. But a leader who steps back and lets others shine earns loyalty and admiration. Accountability is essential to sustaining trust and respect. A leader who blames others when things go wrong or refuses to take responsibility for mistakes weakens trust within the team. People respect leaders who own their decisions, both the good and the bad. When a leader steps up and takes responsibility for a failed project or a poor decision, it shows strength, not weakness. It signals that the leader values integrity over ego and is committed to finding solutions rather than assigning blame. Accountability also means recognizing when you've made a mistake and having the humility to correct it. Leaders who are too proud to admit when they're wrong create environments where mistakes are hidden rather than addressed. But leaders who are open about their missteps and quick to adjust course create cultures of continuous improvement and psychological safety. Building and maintaining trust and respect isn't a one-time effort. It's a daily practice. Every interaction, every decision, and every response to pressure either strengthens or weakens trust. People don't expect their leaders to be perfect, but they expect them to be real. They expect honesty, consistency, and fairness. They expect their leaders to act with integrity even when it's difficult. And they expect to be treated with respect, not just as workers, but as human beings. When a leader meets these expectations consistently, they earn more than just compliance. They earn loyalty. They create a culture where people give their best, not because they have to, but because they believe in the leader and the mission. And when trust and respect are strong, teams become unstoppable.